What's up guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. You either clicked this video because you saw the thumbnail and thought it might be the stupidest thing you've ever seen, or you're actually interested in how these two albums might connect. Either way, I'm here to explain how Monster by Future is connected to Good AM by Mac Miller. Good AM is the sequel to Monster and explains the story of someone recovering from a drug addiction. Now I know that sounds stupid, but I'm just gonna lay out the facts and connections and then explain the story and timeline. After all, Mac and Future did make a song together, so it's possible that they discussed this. Both of these albums cover the topic of drug addiction just in a different way. Monster is a mixtape where Future explains what life is like being addicted to lean, and he talks about the problems he faces being in the constant cycle of a drug addiction, while Good AM talks about recovering and getting better before his problem spirals out of control. Both of these albums are also very different from the rest of their music. Mac and Future usually talk about having fun, doing drugs, and getting girls on most of their albums, but these two albums show a more mature side, acknowledging how bad drugs can be and explaining the problems with drug abuse. The whole theme of these albums connect to each other, but I'm just going to be focusing on a couple key songs. The main two songs that connect these albums together are Perfect Circle Godspeed on Good AM and Codeine Crazy on Monster, which in my opinion are also both of their best songs. Brand Name, Throwaway, and Hardly also connect these albums together, so I'll be going over these briefly as well. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's get into it. First, let's point out the obvious, the album covers. The Monster cover shows Future screaming with bandages wrapped around his bleeding face, and it almost looks like he's rotting. The Good AM cover shows Mac in that same position, but yawning instead of screaming, looking relatively normal. This is what made me initially want to look into this theory after seeing both these album covers side by side. Let's start by talking about the themes on Monster. The whole album is centered around doing drugs, specifically lean. Most of the songs in the beginning just talk about living life, making money, and sipping lean. The first song on the mixtape to acknowledge the flaws in his lifestyle happens on the song Throwaway. This song isn't really related to drugs, but it's still important to the story on how the character develops across these two albums. Throwaway is divided into two parts. The first part is just Future talking about how he doesn't need a girlfriend because he can just use women and throw them away when he's done with them. The second part is more sad, and it's Future realizing that he really did love his girl and he wished he didn't mess around with all the other girls, causing his girl to leave him. The next major song to acknowledge his flaws is on the outro, Codeine Crazy. This song explains how Future's drug addiction has affected his life, specifically his relationship with Ciara. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. All Future can think about is codeine, saying, "I'm going crazy about it, I'm going codeine crazy. That's how I'm living it, I'm feeling lovely. I'm drinking bubbly, I'm drinking bubbly." He also talks about how his addiction has ruined his life, saying, "Too many days gone by, sitting by the phone waiting till I reply, drying my eyes, believe it or not. I could never see a tear falling, water dripping on me like a faucet." This line is super important, and it's referencing his past relationship with Ciara. She would wait by the phone waiting for Future to reply, but he would never respond because he was occupied with his drug addiction. He could never see a tear falling because he could never see that she was bothered by this because it was over the phone. Looking back, he can see how much lean has messed up his life. The rest of Codeine Crazy just continues this theme and talks about how lean has affected Future for the worse. Now that we know the general theme of Monster, let's move on to Good AM by Mac Miller. After the intro to Good AM, Doors, Brand Name sets the tone for the album with references to him acknowledging his drug addiction. "I'm too high, you can't reach me with the cell phone. No goodbyes, no hellos. You don't want this life I live, you'd rather have a wife and kid." This theme is carried throughout the album, but it's mostly prevalent in the song Perfect Circle Godspeed. This song is split up into two parts, just like Throwaway. The first half, Perfect Circle, just talks about how not everyone is perfect and just sort of pushes his drug problem to the side. The question, "Can you draw a perfect circle?" is constantly repeated throughout the song. No one can draw a perfect circle because everyone has flaws, so this is Max saying that everyone makes mistakes in their life. He's acknowledging his addiction and recognizing that it's bad, but making up excuses so that he can keep popping pills. "Can you draw a perfect circle? Lots of lies cover the truth. You got options, what do you do? I wash these pills down with liquor and fall. Leave it to me, I do enough for us all. Trust me, this'll all make sense in the end, just stay with me." The second half, Godspeed, starts with an actual voice message from Mac's brother. "Yeah man, I wish you were here, happy holidays. I love ya, and I hope you have a good night / weekend / I hope to talk to you soon. Alright, Godspeed." Mac wasn't able to spend time with his family over the holidays because of his drug addiction, and this completely changes the mood of the song. Mac goes from ignoring and pushing his drug addiction to the side to realizing he has to change before it gets too late. "I thought I'd have it figured out by now. Shit would be simple, problems would be in the past by now. Everybody's saying I need rehab because I'm speeding with a blindfold on. It won't be long until they watch me crash, and they don't want to see that. They don't want me to OD and have to talk to my mother. They could have done more to help me. And she'd be crying, saying that she'd do anything to have me back." This also hits a lot harder because he actually died because of this and wasn't able to get a hold of his drug problem in time. Rest in peace to Mac. Are you noticing any similarities yet? Mac and Future both weren't able to communicate with a loved one because of their drug addiction. Now, when I was talking about Monster, I didn't talk much about Hardly because I want to bring it up now. Hardly directly connects with Perfect Circle and Godspeed. Here's an example of how it connects with Perfect Circle. "Wash the molly down with champagne, wash the Zanny down with the syrup, yeah. I wash these pills down with liquor and fall." Both of these lines reiterate the theme of drug abuse. "I'm easily agitated, get intoxicated dedicated, trying to fight the demons, trying to find right in my wrong, hope my legacy live on. Trying to find right in my wrongs also relates to can you draw a perfect circle. Both of these lines are trying to convince themselves that their drug addiction isn't that big of a problem. So now that we have all the facts, here's the story of how Monster transitions into Good AM. The character of the story is Future in Monster and Mac Miller in Good AM, but I'm just going to be referring to this person as the character. The story starts off with Monster, where the character is deep into a drug addiction but sort of just embraces it. On Throwaway, the character realizes that his lifestyle isn't as good as it seems, as his drug addiction caused him to stop caring about the relationship he had with his girlfriend. On Hardly, he tries to find right in his wrong, just sort of acknowledging his problem but not really wanting to fix it. Lastly, Codeine Crazy has the same energy as Hardly, acknowledging his problems, but instead of just sweeping it under the rug, this time he's actually explaining how much it's destroyed his life. This transitions perfectly into Doors and Brand Name. Good AM starts on a more positive note as the character is starting to acknowledge and overcome his drug addiction. The tracks progress, and Perfect Circle Godspeed is what actually starts the change. As we already discussed, he wasn't able to see his family because of his drug addiction. The songs following Perfect Circle Godspeed show more of a clear-minded Mac Miller, as he isn't talking about drugs as much anymore. The album covers also visualize the change from being addicted to being sober. Keep in mind that this is just my theory, and it's a very slim chance that these albums were actually meant to be connected. I just think it's kind of cool how these two albums fit perfectly together despite being completely different. I hope that all made sense. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll try to explain. Make sure to like and subscribe if you found this interesting. I'm going to be posting a lot more music content on here. Thanks for watching.